1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I wanna swing! Out of the frying pan and into the fire. A very common expression, one that I've been just ever so waiting to use, and it's one that I finally have the chance to finally say. And it's not for the reasons that I would have hoped. You know, I was hoping to use the expression for something a little bit more silly. It's just unfortunately not the case, Jimbo. Because we are diving our hands back into the spittoon that is MrBeast controversy. Now, I recently talked about the Ava Chris Tyson situation and that entire debacle. Very unfortunate situation and definitely didn't shine a good light on MrBeast and his entire crew. And while that situation didn't direct MrBeast directly, this one does, because this one literally has his name all over it. And I'm of course talking about the MrBeast game show called Beast Games. Now this was recently made aware to me today, and specifically for this controversy, but apparently it's a new game show on Prime, a competition series with a $5 million payout. $5 million, that's whew. So imagine, that's a lot of money. Imagine winning MasterChef, 20 times. I'm good. I like math. Big payout. And as such, it's being marketed as like the biggest competition show ever. Nothing's ever gonna come close to that. It's like Squid Game, but safe and good and wrong. Because that was a lie. And it's disturbing, the details that have come out about the show. It's also important to point out that this is a show that is ran by MrBeast, so this has his name directly on it. So everything you're about to hear does not paint a pretty picture for him. But enough tiptoeing around the situation, it's time to just get into it. Recently, several contestants on the show have spoken out, those that were eliminated already from the show, and those that are still participating in the show itself currently. And the details that they have brought forth are disturbing just because of the conditions that these contestants have to be under, and also just the games itself. And while there are a lot of different sources out there from other contestants, one that I want to use specifically right now is information that was brought forth by Rosanna Pansino, because she got direct messages from somebody who was eliminated from the game, and so they have a much more specific insight to the game and everything that happened. In the messages, they start off by mentioning how many contestants were concerned for their own safety, but also the safety of their own fellow contestants, and that's just because of the living conditions that they were put under and also what the games really were. There were several reports of not receiving medical attention, proper medical attention, and even instances of people not being given medication, which is bad. Listen, I know it's a game show and it's meant to be like Squid Game, but this isn't Squid Game. Don't hold people's medication away from them. Alright, now you can have food or you can have medication. I can't imagine being in a position, being a part of a, you know, the behind the scenes of a game show and purposely withholding medication from people. I can't imagine how that would be good for anybody. So that's already bad enough, but there are also several claims of the game being rigged. And this is something that has been claimed by multiple different contestants. Reason being is because a lot of the games are based on speed and strength, so they have to do with physical attributes. And because of that reason, according to the people and what they were saying, a lot of the really athletic and fit men were doing really good in these competitions while everybody else wasn't. And the important distinction that needs to be pointed out too is that this isn't an athletic show. This is a competition show supposed to be like Squid Game. This isn't American Ninja Warrior where you're expected to be physically fit. Because within the game show, the Beast Games, there are not only really fit men, but there are also women and elderly people. So it's not supposed to be or you'd think it wouldn't be a game of strength and speed, but apparently that is not the case. There are also really disturbing instances that were brought forth by the contestant, specifically with the messages with Rosanna, claiming that guys were tackling women to the point where they were getting bones broken, passing out, and instead of trying to stop it or help any of the women that were being hurt by these people, they were dragged off set, allegedly, while the games were still being filmed, and apparently no actions were taken against the men either. They just continued the games. That is shocking to me, because this is supposed to be a game show. Game. This isn't Rome, this isn't the Colosseum, this isn't they who are about to die. These are people that are just here for money, and instead they walk away with little to no money and broken bones, which will be paid with the money that they received. And if you think that wasn't bad enough, the details just get worse, because other claims that were made about this game by contestants was that they were fed very little, like 400 calories per meal, and then on top of that, they were given very little water. And buckle up, Buster, because if that wasn't enough for you, they were also sleep deprived. Why? This is clearly a game that is either A, poorly organized despite its massive, prize pool, or B, taken too seriously and trying to be too much like Squid Game. There are even instances in this message specifically of people fighting over food and water, hoarding food and water, and this is something that people signed up for to earn money, not be subjected to these kind of mental games, and it's torture is what it is. It's torture, being starved and not giving enough sustenance to really enjoy yourself and be comfortable. And for those of you saying, well, they signed up for it, they knew what they were getting into, this is part of the game. It's $5 million, they need to earn it. No, they don't, because this is not what the game was presented as. This game, again, was presented as Squid Game. So it's supposed to be these kind of more structured games where it isn't supposed to be physically daunting, where you don't require a lot of athletic prowess. And while there are some games in Squid Game that are like that, most of them are not. And for some reason, they decided to make a lot of these games about strength and speed, stuff that only the really athletic people will thrive at. And if you want further proof on how messed up that is, I want to remind you that not only is this a game where men and women were combined, but also elderly people who are not as athletic. So the fact that they casted elderly to be in something like that is also an extremely messed up situation. All right, your name is George. All right, you are 73. You have a bad back, and is that you got something bad with your knee? No cartilage. All right, you're in. It's a 500-meter dash. Good luck, soldier. I highly suggest that you look at Rosa Pansino's video on it. I'll put a picture of it on screen. I highly suggest you watch it because there are a lot more messages that are just as disturbing, talking about hush money, such as people being paid $1,000 signing away their rights for a class action lawsuit against, the show, and even details of being contacted by MrBeast crew itself, which is again a very disturbing thing. And to circle it back to what I said in the beginning, this is something that MrBeast allegedly was watching over the entire time, was watching all of this stuff unfold, and apparently did nothing. All of this stuff is alleged, but it's something that has been repeated multiple times by other contestants who have come out of this show and did not accept $1,000 and decided to tell their story about what happened to them. And if all these things turn out to be true, the entire situation is just extremely messed up. This is Amazon Prime. This is not a real Squid Game in South Korea. This isn't supposed to be where the rich watch the poor kill each other in exchange for entertainment and they just throw them a couple doubloons. This is supposed to be for entertainment, and it's also supposed to be for entertainment of the contestants, and it's just looking like that's not the case. Again, everything is alleged, but it's going to be very interesting to see what ends up being real and what doesn't end up being real, but it's just not a good sign for MrBeast at the moment. This story is extremely new, so I'm sure we're going to get more details in the very near future, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. All in all, this entire situation is just incredibly insane to listen to. And they said Squid Game was fantasy. I mean, hell, in Japan they had people try to recreate a version of Squid Game, and it was not as sadistic as this thing sounds. But again, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, if indeed you still are. My name is Brockster. I bid you all adieu.